Good evening and welcome to the week 14 lecture video. Let's go ahead and take a look at the agenda. Okay, so once again, we're taking a three-pronged approach to this class. So prong one is the theory. Okay, you get theory through reading the textbook, taking the quizzes, and us reviewing the quizzes in this class. Prong two was learning SPSS. You've been done with that for a while. And again, as you can now see, understanding how to read the SPSS output helped you write the results section of your research paper. Prong three is actually writing the research paper. All these lectures that I've done help you write each component of your research paper. The discussion forums help you write individual sections of your research paper at any given time. And of course, there's other assignments. There's the rough draft assignments. And basically what happens there, right? You've been submitting, okay, your rough drafts, and then that gives me an opportunity to formally give you feedback. And once I give you feedback, and usually no one gets 100% the first go around because there's always something to fix. So, right, I give you, let's say, 5 points, usually anywhere between 3 to 7. You and I give you assignment comments. You fix those, resubmit it. Maybe it's not totally perfect. Maybe we meet in office hours. We talk over email, and then we go back and forth. But eventually, what happens is you get 100%, and that means you're good to go for your final paper. Okay, and that's what we've been doing. Okay, so speaking of feedback, I gave you your results rough draft feedback, okay? And again, I gave that to you as assignment comments, and I sent out an email. Ask questions if necessary via email or drop by my office hours. And again, the goal here is for you to resubmit for full credit. So the week 13 discussion, it was pretty simple in that all you were doing is you were restating your findings, okay? And that's part one of the discussion section. Today, we're going to talk about part two of the discussion section, limitations and future research directions. Now, you can look at the paper overview just to kind of see how it's laid out. But here's what you need to remember. For the limitations portion, okay, you need to indicate 3 limitations. And then for the future directions portion, you need 3 future directions, and they should be tied together. So if you have a limitation, there should be a future research direction that deals with that limitation. So when we're talking about limitations, what are we talking about the limitations of? We're talking about the limitations of our study where your data comes from, called personality and gay marriage attitudes. So a good way to identify some of the limitations would be to go to the method section of the paper, okay? Let's start with the participant section of the paper. So go ahead and take a look at that. Well, what do you notice, right? Well, the average age, let's say, was around 19, okay? Now ask yourself, okay, when we look at the greater population, which we could say is the state of California or the United States, is the average age in the United States or the state of California or the county of San Bernardino 19? And the answer is no. So this study was conducted on people that on average were pretty young. That's a limitation, okay? Meaning a 19-year-old doesn't necessarily represent the views and the ways of thinking of someone who's older. What's another limitation if we're looking at the participant section? Well, an easy one. So we talked about age. What about race? Okay. Just off the top of my head, the Asian American population and personality and gay marriage attitudes was around what? I think it was around 30, I think it was either 37 or 39%, somewhere around there. Well, that's a problem, right? If we look at the census data for the county of San Bernardino and the state of California and the United States, Asian Americans don't make up 39%. Okay. And you can look at the other racial groups, they may be over or underrepresented. So that's definitely a limitation. Okay. And the key here is what we're always trying to do, okay, is we're trying to get a sample from the population that best estimates the population. Okay. So when we're looking at an average age of 19, well, that could be problematic, right? When we're looking at, and it's problematic in that it doesn't match, right, the actual average age of the population. When we're looking at the race of Asian American, culturally, okay, they may think differently about some of the issues in personality and gay marriage attitudes as compared to African Americans or Hispanic Latinos, etc. Okay. So here's the thing. We're basically saying it may be a limitation. It may not be, but it may be. And the reason why it's a limitation, again, is because it doesn't match what it looks like in the population. It doesn't match the racial, personality and gay marriage attitudes does not match the racial breakdown in the population. Personality and gay marriage attitudes does not match the average age of the population. So we talked about two limitations so far. A third limitation that we can talk about that's in our participant section, or our method section, is the fact that we did not randomly select participants from the population. Okay. We used a convenience sample. And again, maybe that's not so bad, right? Because there's a lot of convenience samples in the study of psychology, but then we use a tool called meta-analysis to basically add everything together and basically see the overall impact, okay, or the overall effect of what we're studying. And essentially, when we're using the meta-analysis and we're adding everything together, we're just making our sample bigger and bigger, and hopefully over time, more representative of the overarching population. Okay, you could mention that, but a better one would be the study was, the survey was administered, I was going to say collected, and that works too. The survey was administered at a university, right? So do you think people who are getting a college education may think differently about some of the issues in personality and gay marriage attitudes as compared to people you might survey in front of a supermarket or a movie theater? Possibly, right? So personality and gay marriage attitudes is biased because it's conducted on younger people. Asian Americans are overrepresented, and maybe some other races are underrepresented. And then the third point is it's biased because the only participants are college students. They all have some college. Okay. And they're undergrad. So maybe if you have a graduate education, maybe you'd think differently about the survey. What if you only have a high school education? I don't know, maybe. Okay. But again, we're saying that there's bias here, or we have limitations because not everyone in society has gone to college. Okay. The average age is not 19, and Asian Americans do not make up like 97 or 98% of the population. So these are three really good ones from the participant section. What you can also do is you can look at the questions, right? So we could go to the measures section, okay, and look at your measures. Are you, if you're looking at the variable self-esteem, are you happy with how personality and gay marriage attitudes measured self-esteem? Are you are you happy about how personality and gay marriage attitudes indexed support for same-sex marriage? So you could comment on some of the questions and maybe propose a better way to ask the question. So I point out 4 limitations. I think you get it. You can pick different ones, or you can just pick these. So if we mention age as a limitation, well, how do you solve that limitation? Well, we can conduct the study, and maybe we can go to a high school and conduct the study, or we can go to a senior center and conduct the study. You see, so you're getting a variety of ages. Or you can conduct the study outside of a supermarket. Okay, so that would be a future direction. So now let's address the limitation of race. Okay, it so happens that UC Riverside has a lot of Asian Americans. So literally, to solve that issue, you just step out into the community. So you go again. You can say, to solve this issue, you can conduct the study outside a movie theater, outside of a shopping center, right? Okay. What's another one? So we talked about age, gender. Oh, and again, college student, you can go to places. You can conduct the study at a high school. You can basically, in all this, what your future direction should talk about is how you could conduct the study in a different way to deal with some of these biases. And please explain as much as possible. So would you go out in front of a movie theater to conduct the study? What would your strategy be? Now, if you're talking about some sort of measurement, okay, so maybe you didn't like the way self-esteem was measured, propose a different way of measuring it. Maybe you find a different measure of self-esteem that you think is better, or maybe through your research you found a better measure for measuring whatever, religion, I can't even. Y'all have so many different hypotheses, but maybe through your research, you're like, wow, these authors used measure A, these authors used measure B, and I thought they were really good. And so if I were to conduct personality and gay marriage attitudes again, or a study like it, I would want to include these measures. So the goal here is, when you talk about your limitation, state that it's a limitation. So that should be about a sentence, and you should at least have one sentence explaining why it's a limitation. Just don't say it's a limitation, say why it's a limitation. Okay, so your limitation section should be 1 paragraph, and you can label it with a subheading called limitations. And then your future directions section should be 1 paragraph, and you can label it as future research directions or future directions. And again, here, when you're talking about future directions, you state, to deal with the limitation of age, we can conduct a study, whatever, just say what your future direction is. And the key here is try to say as much as possible about it. Be clear in what that future direction looks like. So what's due on Sunday by 11:59 p.m.? Well, we have our week 14 discussion. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. In a paragraph, state 3 limitations of the study, personality and gay marriage attitudes, and explain why they are limitations. In another paragraph, state 3 future research directions that should be pursued to address these limitations. Okay. Be sure to watch the week 14 lecture video before you begin. It's this one. Part 2, respond to 2 other students. What limitations did you have in common, if any? What limitations did they discuss that you did not discuss? What future directions did you have in common, if any? What future directions did they discuss that you did not discuss? And this is a great opportunity to have a discussion here. So maybe someone had some of the same limitations as you had, or that you stated, but you like some of the things that they said and you didn't include. You can feel free to include that. Obviously don't plagiarize them, but you can paraphrase the idea. So this is an opportunity to share limitations with each other, to get ideas, and also to talk about future directions. Okay. And also there's quiz 7, topic 67 through 77. And again, now's the perfect time. Remember, you need to find and create article summaries for 10 articles for your introduction section. So what we worked on in class, I had you do 3, but for your final paper, you need to have the full 10. So make sure you're working on that. Go ahead and let me know if you have any questions, either via email or office hours. Okay. And I will be very happy to help you. I'm here for your success. Have a great evening. Take care. Bye.